Alright, so let's start now. Today is going to be a continuation to our discussion about responsive web design, and particularly we'll talk about the grid view. Alright, so it is also known as responsive grid view. So what exactly is grid view? What is that for, and why is it useful when it comes to designing responsive web design? Alright, so that's going to be our discussion for today. So if you have any questions or clarifications while we're doing this class, just send it here, Google Meet. Just go and just type, raise your hand, then, or you can also just send it directly on the chat. Okay, so previously we've talked about responsive web design with the introduction. So we're able to discuss the viewport and then media query. Alright, so before anything else, let's have a review first. What is the difference between viewports and screen resolution? Anyone? What's the difference between viewports and screen resolution? Anyone? Nakadiscuss tag viewports, diba? Or what are viewports lang? Go ahead. Anyone?
Ano siya, resolution sa mga mobile.
Okay, resolution sa mobile. Alright, that's true. Okay, go on. Resolution sa mobile. It's the same case when it comes to resolution and viewport, diba? Viewport and resolution. They can be resolution for cell phones, for devices, both of this. But what specifically? Unsay characteristics of viewport? Anyone?
Iyang size sa iyang screen.
Unsa? Go ahead, Sulaiman. Suleiman.
Ang size sa screen sa cellphone or sa
You're talking about resolution. You're talking about resolution. You're going to talk about the size of the screen devices. You're talking about resolution. Viewport. Unsa lang ganitong viewport? Anyone?
Hi, sir.
Go ahead, Palomar.
Matungod ko, sir.
Yes, madungog ka.
Specific size sa sir, sa screen, either sa mobile or sa desktop.
That's the same case with resolution. You're all talking about resolution. Resolution is the size of the screen, the number of pixel counts, kumbaga, the pixel counts of the screen of the device that you're using. Okay? Viewport is, go ahead, Fundador.
Display niya sa browser sa.
Alright. So, yeah, it could be either this screen of this browser. That's correct. It is the size of basically it's the resolution that your browser is going to provide for your device. So it's scaled down. When say scaled down, murabag mas gipagamay nga resolution ba. So most of the time viewports have slower resolution. Okay, take note. Scale down resolution. So basically, viewports are, when we say scale down, meaning viewports has lower resolution compared to actual resolution. Because, sorry, hold on. In that way, since gamay ang yang resolution, pwede niyang mapadako ang imong screen. Pwede niya mapadako ang imong graphics, kumbaga, the design elements, the text, the design elements can be zoomed in. Alright, so let's try to compare a mobile device. Let's say, for example, this is the mobile device and a desktop. Okay. For example, if this is the mobile device and this is the desktop, what do you think happens if you're going to design a web page for both this? Kung makita nimo sa desktop, klaro siya kaayo, what happens if you're going to transfer it to mobile device? So may tabo. For example, ni-design ka kag web page, you design it for specifically for desktop, and you transfer it on mobile. Unsa may tabo?
Also be in display.
Okay, what do you mean mausog, miss? Kindly keep your cameras turned on, guys. Aram nyo palunga. Okay, what?
Sir, ka na. Klaro ka is mobile. Design sa system.
Okay. What tends to have, for example, if we're going to create, let's say, a star. Gagama kag star nga graphic sa imong web page on desktop.
Sensor.
Mugamay ang iyahang picture dire, di ba? And i-transfer nimo siya sa mobile device, mugamay siya. It's because mobile devices have generally smaller screen size. Okay? So we don't want that because what would happen if naakay gamay kay mga text dire, kung naakay text dire, for example, this is a text. If you're going to transfer it to mobile, tendency is gamay kaayo ang imong text, di ba? Is that true? Since smaller man ang size sa mobile, therefore, some of the text, some of the graphics will tend to be smaller as well on mobile device. That's why, instead of using the actual resolution, web browser uses viewport. That is the scaled down resolution, and it makes the graphics zoomed in. Okay? Zooms in the graphic. Gamay man ang iyahang resolution, kung gamay na, pwede na niyang ma-zoom in. Diba? Alright. Do you follow, guys? Or basig malimot na po tayo next meeting? Do you follow?
Yes.
Alright. Okay. We're not gonna take a lot of time with viewports. Let's just say viewports generally have slower resolution compared to actual resolution of the phone. So again, ang viewport is the resolution that is given to you by the browser of your device. So it's not the resolution of your actual or the actual screen resolution of your device, but it is a scaled down version of the resolution of your device provided to you by the browser. So today we'll talk about responsive web design still in continuation, but let's focus on the grid view. Okay, so just a review, adding responsiveness to a web page means enabling the page to adapt to different screen sizes and resolutions. So take note, every time that we're going to create a website this time, we'll make sure that our website is capable of adapting to different screen sizes and resolution. So what exactly is the grid view? So many web pages are based on a grid view, which means that the page is divided into columns, just like this. Using a grid view, it is very helpful when designing web pages. It makes it easier to place elements on a page. So grid view is basically using grid view, we'll be able to properly easily lay out our website. So basically the grid view is for us to be able to, it's very useful when it comes to layouting. Mag-layout ka ba? O gasan mo iutang ay mga elements, so on and so forth. Let's take a look at this particular web page. This is YouTube. Alright? So, giunsa paggamit, how do YouTube assign or giunsa niya pag-arrange ang layout niya? Giunsa niya pag-arrange ang mga elements? Okay. This is the layout. This is the grid view. So, notice that you'll see some patterns, right? Do you see it? You'll see some patterns, like for example, this thumbnails here are perfectly aligned together. Here. Do you see it, guys? Okay, let's take a look. Okay, let's take a look at the top right corner. So we have here kind of profile picture, then add video icon, and the notification. That is, they're all together grouped in the top right corner, and in the middle we have here the kind of search bar ba na siya, and then search, and then kind of voice search, and then at the top left we have the logo, and then the menu. They're all arranged on a column, right? So that is an example of a grid view. So if we're going to Okay, let's have another example. Okay, so when you click an actual video, this is what's gonna show up, and then let's try to examine its grid. All right. So notice that the recommendation are currently on the right side, and then the actual picture or the actual video rather, the video player is on the at the middle, and then we have here some details about the video, etc. So this is another example of a grid view. So this is what we are trying to create. Now, notice nga kani for example, these recommendations are perfectly aligned together at the right side. Yun sa siya pagama. Basically, it uses grid view to do that. Then this. So this is Facebook, kind of profile page. So Facebook, and then this is its layout. So the body of the Facebook is currently at the middle. Nahinda ko nga space on the left side, na po space on the right side, and then everything else are being perfectly aligned together. So this helps. This helps kind of sa grid view. This helps in making web designing a lot easier. It's because using grid view, you can place wherever you want it, wherever the elements that you want, pwede mo ma-place bisag asa. So sa atong previous assignment, or not really in the previous, but in our future projects, one of our main problem is unsaon nato pagbutang ang mga elements sa right, sa left, unsaon nato pagbutang sa top, sa bottom, sa top right, sa top left. How do we create those layouts? And that's gonna be using responsive grid. Okay, so the grid view, or usually a responsive grid view, often has 12 columns and has a total of 100% width, and will shrink and expand as you resize the browser window. So let's take a look at this example here. So if this is the desktop view, you've created an actual grid. This is the desktop view. Kung imong paggamyan ang imong screen, it will turn to like this. So it will always use the 100% of the screen. Yang gamiton ang tibok 100%. And kung imong i-shrink ang screen nimo, magkagamay pod ang iyahang width, but still keeping up the same number of columns. And pila ganito ka columns gani? Usually, when creating grids, 12 columns. Alright, take note, most of the time when we're going to create websites, there has to be at least 12 columns. So we are going to prepare 12 columns, and then ato na lang adjustan siyang adjustan based on what we'll be needing it for our website. Alright, so let's take a look at this example here. Why it's called responsive grid view. So this is an example from W3 schools. So basically, this is an example of a grid view. Notice we have 12 columns: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So most of the time, as basic, yeah. Maybe a pinaka basic is that we're going to create 12 columns, and it would be up to us which column are we going to use for our website. So in this example, we are currently seeing some rough nga kanabang idea on how columns are being used for designing web page, diba? Does this look familiar to you? So this here right here could be used for your navigation. This could be used for your footer, and on the right side is, for example, let's go back to YouTube. So if we're going to open up YouTube, and then maybe you'll notice this, or maybe just about any website, you'll note that you can imagine how it's gonna look like by creating layouts just like this. And using grid view is gonna be very useful when it comes to planning or designing the layout of your website. Guys, nawala na po mo sa screen. Balik-balik lagi ta. Kindly keep your cameras turned on. Ay, palungon Jud. Thank you. Alright, the internet is currently very slow, so I'm not really sure what's going on. But when it comes to designing website, the first thing that you're going to do is to create the layout, diba? Creating the layout will be easier if we're going to use So nito kani grid view, responsive grid view. Okay. Thank you. Just skip your camera so now. Thank you. All right. So let's take a look. Why is it responsive? Ano siyang ginatawag man siyang responsive? Right now we're currently on full screen desktop view and we're seeing 12 of this 12 columns completely. Now let's try to shrink the by this kana and then let's shrink about. All right. So right, as you can see, as you can probably see, there are still 12. There are still 12 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright? So, bisan pag unsa kadako sa screen, unsa kalapad ang atong screen nga atong gamiton, it will still keep the number of columns and then everything will be kept the same. So that's why it's called responsive grid. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to create columns or grids, and then we're going to use that in designing or creating layouts for our website. As you can see, the columns are going to be kept the same regardless of the size of our or the width of our screen. So that is responsive grid view. So again, let's go back. Let's try to take a look at some of the websites that uses grid view. So imagine if this is Facebook, just imagine, or not just Facebook, but if we're going to design a website, all we need to do is first we're going to imagine that our screen is composed of 12 columns. So for example, this one. And then, atong buhaton is, for example, let's take a look at Facebook. Nasa atong screen. Imagine there are 12 columns here. Okay, let me. Oh, no. So if this is the page, so let's imagine there are 12 columns. One, okay. That's a bad line. Hold on. Okay, not sure if I can do it, but for some reason my graphic is really weird. How can I use that? You know, just go to my lines. Okay. For example, this is the middle line, and then we have 6. So that is a very good line right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then here. Okay, that's a very good line. Straight kaya itong mga lines. Alright, so if we're going to design a website, that's the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to create 12 columns, and it would be up for us which columns are we going to use to create the layout of our device. So let me try my graphic tablet again, but for some reason, nagloko siya, dili ko makatarong og sulat. Hold on. Okay, it's working now. Let's try again. Right. So if this is the center, so that's gonna be okay. That's better. Makita ra ang lines, guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So rough this siya because basically this is the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to create lines, imaginary lines that will help us, that will guide us when it comes to designing our page. So again, that is the first thing that we're going to do. Not necessarily nga kinahanglan tang gumaog line yun, but in this case, we're just going to mag-imaginary lines lang. Gumaratag marabag invisible lines in our brains. So once we've already established or already have an idea what is the grid is going to look like, now we can decide as unsa nga columns atong gamiton for our web page. For example, for this particular screen, gikan dire, let me change the color real quick. Okay, from this part right here, right? Nadia Dapita. So we use the columns 1, 2, 3. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. So for example, in this case, we use the columns 3 to 10, diba? From 3 to 10, so that that is where we put the body of the web page. All right. And then 1 and 2 is a blank space, and then 11 and 12 is blank space. All right. So let's see. For example, another example is kaning intro nga box. So we use 3 to, I think this is 5. So 3 to 5. We use the box 3 to 5 so that we can use this intro nga box. Okay. That's the same thing with this part right here, kaning what's on your manya page nga box. We use the layouts from, or we use the columns from 6 to 10. Right? So that is the use of a grid. We'll be able to decide asa nga columns nato ibutan nato ang any elements or any divisions or any boxes that will, or any elements of our web page. So that's the use of grid view rather. Okay? Nagets ra ang idea? Why do we use grid view when it comes to designing a website? Do you follow? So let's have another example. This one right here. This is a web page. And let me for example, that one. So again, once we're going to design a website, let's imagine that there is 12 columns. There are 12 columns. So let's try to draw that one. Oops. So this is the middle, and then that is 1/4, and then 1, 2. All right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, so again, once you've already created the columns, you can decide unsa nga column imong gamiton when it comes to ug asa nimo ibutang ang imong any elements of your web page. For example, on the actual video player, it starts from columns 2. Okay, let me change the color. So if this is your video player, so it starts from columns 1, 2, gigan sa 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Diba? And then for the right side, you can have kaning sa mga recommendations, it uses 9 to 11, and then ang 12 is vacante, and then 1 is also vacant. All right. So this one right here, and then for the caption, for the title, we have same thing, 2 to 8. This one right here. So again, using grid view, we'll be able to decide which part of the screen asa na to ibutang. So again, the first thing that we're going to do is we have to create 12 columns, and then we can decide out of this 12 columns ug asa nato ibutang any elements that will be needed for our web page. So, building a responsive grid view. How do we start creating the 12 columns? All right. For the meantime, obviously we're going to create an actual columns just like this. But in reality, if we're going to create it, we're going to do it on our website. Obviously, dili ta ganahan nga na yung mga columns nga inani, di ba? But for the sake of this discussion, let's try to create this. We're going to create 12 columns. And then later on, if ato na siyang gamiton sa ato ang web page, ato na siyang i-reason ang mga columns. We're just going to represent lines to get the idea. So let's start building a responsive grid view. First, ensure that all HTML elements have their box sizing properties set to border box. This makes sure that the padding and border are included in the total width and height of the elements. So this is the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to add asterisk, and then the CSS property is box sizing, and then the value is border box. What do you mean by asterisk gani inside CSS? Unsa lang dito pasabot ani? I've shown you this as an example. Unsa pasabot sa asterisk, guys? Anyone? Mga limot lagi ta dayon. Asterisk. Can anyone try to remember? Meaning, asterisk, it selects all the elements. Okay? So this is dot is for class, hash is for ID, but when it comes to asterisk, meaning all, both class ID, and then we have tag for tags pod. Let's say, for example, body, h2, h1, but asterisk is all. It chooses both all the tags, dot and hash. So meaning tanan, we're going to set the box sizing to border box. All right, so let's try to do that. We'll create a folder here. Ay mo kalimot guys. Lain na magklase ta ma-tag sa semana mga limot guys. Let's create a folder and we're going to create responsive grid. Let's add an index.html file. And then we're also going to create CSS file. Okay, so we currently have two files, index.html and style.css. So let's work on both of them. Ano pa na lang, lag na siya. By the way, you may take the screenshot now. This is part of the assignment last time. You may take the screenshot, those who wala ka attend sa class last time. This is the source code that we used from the last meeting. Alright. Okay na, let's start. Ako na i-close na yun. right? And then we have the CSS. Let's move it to the right. Split right. Makita rang codes? Makita rin ninyo?
Sir.
Okay.
Nakita rin.
So on the left side we have the index.html, and then on the right side is the CSS. So unsa gito pinakauna natong buhaton? Okay, let's connect our CSS first. So we will use the link.css and style.css. All right, save that. Okay, so on our style.css, we'll have to select everything. So that means we'll be using the asterisk, and then ang salang ganito, box sizing, and then it's gonna be border box. What is this for? All right. This makes sure that the padding and border are included in the total width and height of the elements. All right. And then next, the following example shows a simple responsive web page with 2 columns. So again, when it comes to designing the columns or adding columns, we have to make sure that the entire thing is going to be 100%. Okay. So if we're going to create columns on our website, on our web page, we have to make sure that the entire thing, if we're going to add it up, it's always going to be 100%. That means if we're going to create a web, or if we're going to create a column, if we're going to create a column which is 25, just like this, then obviously, and then, for example, if we're going to create 2 columns and one of them is 25, then the other one is 75. If we're going to add them together, that's a total of 100. Okay? So always make sure that the columns, the entire columns that will cover up the entire screen is always going to be 100%. Now, for example, if we're going to create multiple, let's say 3 columns, one column is 25, the other column is 25. What is the size of the third column? Okay, 25 na 25 na, then 350. Again, always make sure that the entire screen is going to be 100. Okay, from right to left. Now, why do we use percentage? Ano ma percentage siguro ako gigamit? We've discussed it in our previous meeting. Let's see if you can remember. Why do we use percentage instead of anong dili pixel, dili points, dili centimeters? Why do we use percentage? We discussed it last time. Let's see who can remember. Anong percentage? Go ahead, Palomar. Yeah, total screen. And we don't know size sa device nga itong gamiton, di ba? Not everyone, since we have different screen sizes, and naikon ba? Lahi ang screen sizes of all the devices around the globe, and we're not so sure kung ang user mo view siya either desktop, mo view ba siya sa mobile, mo view ba siya sa tablet. So obviously we don't know the screen size of the device. That's why we're going to use percentage, because when say percentage, iyang gamiton ang tibuok na screen. And then you just have to set which percentage, unsa nga percentage. For example, if we're going to use 25, then it will only use 25% of the screen, regardless of unsa pa na siya kadako. Alright? That's why we're going to use percentage. So, how do we do that? First is we're going to, in this example lang, if we're going to create this particular columns, we're going to create that the first column is going to be, the width is 25%, and on the right side, it is 75%. Now, if we're going to add them together, that's a total of 100. That means the first one will use 25%, and the second one is going to use 75%. Okay? That will cover up the entire thing. Now, to have more control over the web page, we will use a responsive grid view with 12 columns. Actually, you can add more. We can always add more, but most of the time, it's gonna be 12 columns. Most web designers uses 12 columns when it comes to designing their web page. So first, we must calculate the percentage for one column. All right. So if there are 100% of the entire screen, and then kung ato hang i-divide siya into 12, since we'll be creating 12 columns. Therefore, each column has 8.33% na size. Then we make one class for each of the 12 columns. Let's call it, okay, for example, class, and then call dash, and then 1, 2, 3 about 12, so that we can put a name on each column, and add the number defining how many columns the section should span. Okay, so that's it. We're going to create columns, and unsa gani size sa column, each column. Yeah, that's one, 8.33, and each column we're going to call it with a class starts with call dash, for example, call dash 1, call dash 2, until call dash 12. All right, so we're going to name our columns this way. So meaning, say if we're going to use 2, then we'll call this one right here. Okay, so by the way, this will just give us the size, okay, ang size ato ang sa ato ang columns. So this is how it's going to look like. So first, all of these columns should be floated rather to the left and have a padding of 15%. This is just an example. So let's try to do that. We're going to create divisions, and let's call them column 1 up to column 12, and then we're going to set the size. So for the first column, it's going to be 8.33. So if we're going to for column 2, let's just say 8.33 times 2, or 8.33 plus 8.33, then we'll get 16.66. Then add another 8.33 again, then we'll have 25%, 33.41. So take note of this. Okay, you don't have to memorize it, but please take note of this percentage sizes, because this is what we'll be using always from now on. All right, so let's proceed. So on the body tag, inside the body, we'll create divisions. So let's call it div, let's say, it's a container, and then we'll just put all the columns here. So unsa gito nga lang sa itong column?
Call, sir.
Okay. Call, and then add the number. So for the first column, we'll add 1. Okay. And then let's copy this. Oops. Shift Alt down. All right. And then for the second column, let's call it call 2, and then continue, and then let's keep on changing the name of the class. So that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6, that's 7, that's 8, that's 9. Hold on, kadali lang. I think I got it wrong. Kadali lang, ha. Okay, let's try. Alright, let's erase this for the meantime. Let's duplicate all of column 1 and set. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, so we have 12 columns. Wala na na-limit ang Google Meet, guys. Naka-experience mo nang na-limit?
Dahil nakabutang lang, sir. Dito na lang daw.
First, naka-experience mo before? Alright, in case maputol ta, it's okay. In case maputol ta, let's do it again. If ma-close gani, let's just enter again. Karon ko kabantayan eh.
Same link for the sir.
Ha?
Same link for the
Same link gyapon. In case if maputol ta pero di ra okay ra. Alright, so we've created 12 columns here, and for our style.css, let's add this. So for column 1, the width is 8.33, column 2, so on. So let me take a screenshot so I can put it on the right side. Maro ako sa Google sa kay naglimit na sila. Alright, so here let's call 1. So the width is 8.33%. So that's for column 1. So we're just going to shift out, and then let's create 12 more. That's call 2, call 3, call 4, call 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12. Alright, so for column 2, it's gonna be 16.66. 16.66. And then for the third column, that's gonna be 25%. And then 33.33, and then 41.66, 41.66. Call 6 is 50. So in this case, kung gamitan naman 50% of the screen, then we'll use call 6. And then 58.33, 58.33. And then 66.66, and then 75%. Now, if we're going to use 1/4 or 3/4 of the screen, then we'll use call 9. Then call 10 is 83.33, and then 91.66, and then 100%. Okay, that's it. So from now on, one of the first kani mo una natong button, we'll always add this in our CSS file so that we can use everything else on how we're going to add a layout on our website. So right now, since we created 12 call ones, that means we're going to create 12 columns that has 8.33 na size. So we'll just have to make sure na naka-float siya to the left side so that it will be, diba? I think it's column, float left rather, and then we'll add padding 50px. So now remember that each of these columns are unique, diba? Because call 1, then we have call 2. Now, what if ganahan ka tanga mo add, barabag sila tanan mismo adda na to sila og specific value na same sila tanan. For example, we're going to all from column 1 to 12 will add a property na float left. All right, so how do we do that? There's a shortcut na this. We're going to use class and then asterisk. Remember, asterisk is to select all, diba? Ang asterisk is to select all. Okay. So we'll use this, and then we'll select everything, all the class that starts with call dash. So meaning pangitaon niya tanan mga class nga nag-start of call dash, and then we can add these properties. Okay, so let's do that. Let's see. And then class asterisk, meaning all class that starts with call dash. Alright, murag na ko nalimtan. Alright. Here. So we selected everything. So that means all class that start with call dash, that means mapil na ning 1 to 12, will add float to right, and then border, let's add solid, then let's add color, color black dagay. No, white man, red na lang. Okay, so let's try to reload this. Let's save it all. Hold on. Set pa tag height. Height is, let's give it about 100 view height. That means it will use 100% of the screen. Okay, here. Alright, so we're able to create 12 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let's remove this. Kaning margin sa top left. Kani. Saan dyan natin ipag-remove, guys? Kani? Who can remember? Asterisk yapon. Let's put it inside asterisk, and then padding is 0. And then margin is 0. Let's save that. Let's reload. So we've already created 12 columns, and then we can decide now once I commit to natin there is 12 columns. Alright? So since we're using call 1, 12 call 1s, this one right here. So if we're going to multiply this to 12, then we'll be able to come up with 100%. Now let's say for example, ganahan ko nga, let's try to copy this particular layout. Ito akong example ganina. Alright, this one right here. So we'll try to copy this particular layout. So the first part, so on the first one, ang video mag-start siya sa 2 to 8. So this part right here, 2 about sa 8. And then from 9 to 11, this part right here. And then, okay, we'll try to copy this. So for the first column, it's going to be empty. And then the columns 2 to 8 will consist of kaning sa video nga part and then the description. And then 9 to 11 is going to be for our recommendation, and 12 is vacant. So let's do this, just that. So that means pila ka columns atong gamiton? Usa, and then duha, tulo, opat. Correct? Again, we have here, this is 1, and then this part right here is 2, and then this part right here is 3, and then 4. That means we'll be using 4 columns, and then we have to make sure that those 4 columns will consist 100% of the width. So that means we'll be using this. For example, if kani atong gamiton, unsa ni nga column, unsa ni column number? This one right here. Call 1, alright? For number 2, sa second column, unsa nga column atong gamiton? Call 2, okay. First is, let's count how many columns. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 columns. That means we'll be using 7. Alright? Because the column represents the number of the size man. So this time right here, since it consists of 7 columns, therefore we'll be using the size of call 7, and that's gonna be 58.33%. Langya di kayo. Ano? Ala ka, mag-ina nito, permi. Ala, mag-ina nito, permi, from now on. Salbahisa lagi Google lagi. Karon pa ko kasalayan eh. Kamo naka-experience man sa inyong hang
Pag ko update ni sir.
Karon ra jud ni sa. Ala, grabe sa grabe. Alright, so let's continue. So remember that we've created 12 call ones. That means we're able to create columns that has 8.33% size. However, in this case, so for the first column, it's going to be 1. Then for the first column that we're going to create, since it consists of 7 columns, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Therefore, we're going to use call 7. Next question? Ay, sorry. Thank you. Sorry. Alright. Okay. So again, for the first column, it's gonna be call 1 because we're only be using one column rather. For the second column, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So since there are 7 callers in all, that means we'll be using call 7. Ana lang. And then for the third column, we'll be using 1, 2, 3. That means we'll be using siguro call 3, and then last is we have call 4. Call 1, which is the 12 columns. Alright, so that means in our case, we'll be creating 4 columns. So erase natin sila. And then for the first one is column 1, diba? And then for the second one is call 7, and then for the third one is call 3, and then back to call 1. That means we'll be using, for the first column, it's gonna be 8.33%, and then call 7, that is 58.33%, and then call 3 is 25%, and then back to 8.33. So let's try to add 100% Manisa. Open up our calculator. So we have 8.33 plus 58.33 plus 25 plus 8.33 That's 99.99 or 100. So therefore, pwedeng gamito na to, di ba? We can use 100% of the screen. So let's try that. Just erase all of this. Now, wala ang tayong buhaton dire. It's because since we've already created this, we don't necessarily have to do anything on our CSS part. Only be doing it on our dire sa atong index.html. So let's save that and let's take a look. Here. Or feeling out nabalik. Call 7. That's because we use call right. No, not call right, but call left. Okay. Tara. Alright. So if we'll try to compare, makita ba ninyo?
Yes, sir.
Alright. If we'll try to compare this, so we have here 1, katong vacant, and then from 2 to 8 would be the video part, and then the recommendation is 9 to 11, and then 12. Let's try to compare. Pareha ba? Pareha ba? So this would be for the video part right here, and this is for the recommendation. Alright, so let's have another example. Katong ganina. Kani. So let's create an imaginary line na pod. Imaginary lines, di ay. So So I think the center is right about here, and then this part right here. Alright, sakto ba? Now, this particular view is, ano na siya, kanang it's not gonna be perfect. It's because, like I said, we only use 12. But if you want more, if you want to be very detailed, you can add more columns. In this case, siguro the designer uses more columns rather than just 12. But let's try to come up with this using only 12 columns. So for the first column right here, kani na part, kana. So we will use column 1 and 2, correct? For the menu part, we'll be using columns 1 and 2. This right here, let me change the color real quick. We will use this, that is 1. And for para dire, we'll use, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have, pila na bilhin na to? 10 divided by 5. So each box, kani, each thumbnail will be 2 columns. Diba? So that means from this to this, that's 2. And then this to this, that's 3, 4, 5, and 6. So each column will have 2 columns, correct? Each grid has 2 columns. Sakto ba? Alright. Therefore, unsa tong gamiton? Since we will be using 2 columns, unsa nga column atong gamiton? Call unsa? Call to. And call to batiya paminawan. And how many columns do we want? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 colors, 6 columns, and we'll be using column 2. That means, kana. So we'll be using 16.66% each column, and we're going to create 6 of them. So if we're going to calculate 16.66 times 6, that should be almost 100. So that means we'll be able to use this. Let's save that and then let's reload. Alright, so this is the recommendation area. This is the first katong mga videos right here. Let's try to compare. Tada. Alright, and last, let's have another example. Okay, kani. So first, for columns 1 and 2, that's gonna be blank. So we'll use this as our first column. And then for our banner and the body of the entire screen is gonna be from 3 to 10. That means we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll use 8 columns here. So this is 2, this is 8, and then another 2 for our kanang murag sa right side ng bakante. So how many columns are we going to use? 3. And for the first one, we'll use unsa lang nga column. For the first column here, unsa nga call to, nanapon ng call to, and then here we have call 8, and then another call to. So let's try. So we have call 8 and call 2. So let's erase the rest. Do you follow, guys? Nagets ra ba niyo how do we use it?
Sir.
That one right there. Alright, so basically using the grid view, we'll be able to decide kung sa kadak ang atong layout nga gamiton. So from this point on, you don't have to worry about how do we set the size of each column. Now, since this is responsive, nalimut tag test if this is responsive. Let's try. Inspect element, and then let's use let's say pixel type. So since this is responsive, it will automatically adjust to whatever it is, the size of the screen. Okay, so let's try to shrink it down. For example, this is the widest viewport of widest view. Now, if we're going to start to shrink down, everything will be kept. Mugamit ra gyapon siya pila to ni ka percent dire? 16.66%, another 16.66%, and then 66.66% at the middle. So that's why it is responsive. All right? Do you have any questions? Nan? Supposedly, nata ko activity unta, kaso mahurot naman tong oras, mahurot na pud ba? Ma-expire na pud tungod sa bagong kuan sa Google Meet. It's okay if my next class, if later on, if nakoy lain klase later on, if pareha ra gyapon ani nga scenario, don't you worry, I'll pay for I'll pay for Google Meet Premium for an hour so that next meeting dili na ta ma-disturb. Alright, so this time, let's try to, for our next project, for our next assignment, we are going to add layout to our website. So in my case, this is an example. This one right here. So this is a wireframe, and then we're going to add layouts to our website. So before anything else, let's try to examine the sizes, the columns that we might use for our website. This is very easy. Akong layout, isa yun na kaya akong layout. So you can either copy this layout here, or you can also do something on your own. So this is my layout. Let's try to decide unsa nga columns atong gamiton. So this is the banner. Then this is another banner for graphic design, the portfolio or in a page, and then for web development, illustrations, and then this one right here, mura og contact information, and then footer. All right. And then let's try to decide og unsay columns atong gamiton. So for the banner starts from the right side to the left side. What do you think is the column size that I'm going to use? Okay, from it use the entire screen. 100%. Unsa lang gitong na 100%?
Call 12.
Call 12. All right. That's right. Okay, and then next. Asa naroon akong picture na wala. Okay, that's for the first part sa banner. So the next part, pila ka columns ang gamiton? Here. Pila ka columns, guys? This part right here. So we have 2. This one and this one. So right now it's at the perfection in the center. So what would be the size of column 1? What do you think? Okay, that's 50%, and then 50% right here. So that means we'll be using call 6, right? So call 6 for the first column, and then call 6 for the second column. And pretty much that's the same case for the rest. Okay, let me erase that again. Let me open it up. But let's try to change na lang daw. Harong natay gamay nga, naay gamay po nga, parehara tanan, 50-50. So I'm going to change this one right here. So instead, I'm going to be using call about 40% on the left side and then 60% on the right side. Same thing here, balihon na po na ako, dari ang 60, dari ang 40, and then dari na po ang 40, dari na po ang 60, and then back to 50-50, and then 100%. Okay, so that's gonna be our next project. We're going to create layouts, and then later on, that's the time that you're going to add your elements as well. So you can either add whatever you want. So in my case, let's go back. Nahay, wala na po siya. Okay, so since I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 na navigations, most of the time, if you're going to design the homepage, it's gonna be kind of a collection or summary of the navigations. Ug unsay sulod sa imong mga navigations. So right now, since my navigation composed of home, post, gallery, about, and contact us, so I'm going to create the homepage. This one right here would be a summary of all of this. So we have here contact information and basically about me as the designer of the website. But this is not going to be for portfolio. Unsa gaytong classic website ang gi-assign ninyo? Before, back when we were still unsa tong nga type ng website ang gi-assign ninyo sa una? E-commerce, right?
Responsive website, sir.
Yes, but what type of website? Diba magama akong gi-assign is by the end of the semester we should be able to create an e-commerce website. Kana mamaligya ta ba? Correct? Is that what you've been doing? Nana ba niyo ang design sa inyong website? Dili pa. Unsa usually yung gigama so far? Sample lang. It's okay. Anyway, wala pa mo puta ka start yun actually, di ba? Navigation pa lang atong nagama. But just to remind you that we'll be creating kanang online selling a website. I'm not sure, maybe I've forgotten about it, but during our first meeting, I mentioned that our website is gonna be e-commerce. So this example right here, this is from the previous semester. Now, in the previous semester rather. So this is just a simple portfolio. But our goal here is to create an e-commerce website. So I'm going to replace this. So I'm going to decide nga mamaligya ako sapatos. All right. For my website, I'm going to sell shoes. I think nakakagaman ako na nga. Hold on. Let me try. I think I was able to create. Hold on. Let me open it up. Kadaya. Let me show it to you. So let me show it to you what we should be working on. So this is what we will be working on. This is what I've created last semester. Hold on, loading ko siya. Alright. So for the first part, it's gonna be shoes for men, and then shoes for women, shoes for kids, and then brands, and then this right here. Alright, so this is gonna be our target. It would be totally up to you, however you want to lay out your website. So I think kani dapat ang ipakita ninyo. And then that's it. For the meantime, this is what we'll be working on, the layout. And then make sure that when you design your website on your own, it's going to be intended for online selling. So for example, if I'm going to click here, it will route me to the page. Hindi na siya magana. And for example, this one right here. Nana ba? So we're going to create a website that will allow us to maybe not really sell, but display the products that we are trying to sell. So kanila lang. If kaning layout, so the first part is if we're going to use this as the layout for our website. So how many columns should we use? So we have a blank column here. Let's try. Let me take a screenshot. So we can decide the columns. Right. In this part, let's try to decide the column. So so let me draw an imaginary colors for now. Oh, columns. So that is one. Right. So it's a rough representation of the columns. But here, this is what we're going to do. For the first two, it's gonna be empty. So that means column 1 and 2 is gonna be empty. And then kaninga columns are also empty. So that is 11 and 12. And then for this part right here, unsa nga column gamiton? Ilang columns? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means we'll be using col 5 here, and then col 2, and then col 2, and then here 1, 2, 3, col 3. Okay? Is that right? Sakto ba? So we have col 2, col 5, col 3, and another col 2. So if we're going to add them together, what is col 2 gani? 8 point, 16.66 plus col 5, which is 41.66 plus col 3, 25 plus col 2, 16.33. Unknown, siyat na. Col, sub. 16.66 plus col 5, which is 41.66 plus col 3, that is 25. Lapo na lagi ni sub. 16.66 plus 41.66 plus col 3 is 25 plus col 2 is 16.66. Alright, 99.98, so that means that's everything's correct. So let's do just that. Okay, so let's start. Let's open up our website. Do you still follow, guys? Nag-gets right now how to create the columns, right? How to set the column width.
Yes, sir.
So in this case, ato nang i-add tong kani. Let me just copy this one. Asa man to? Let's go back. Open folder. Oops. So we will copy this. Kana. And then let's open up our website. So right below the itong padding and margin, the first thing we're going to do is let's set the box sizing to border box. Diba? That's the first step, diba? And then let's paste everything. So that means we'll be able to use our columns now in creating our layouts. So let's start. Inside our nav, that's 100%, diba? But we've already set the navigation to 100%. This one right here. So we can skip the navigation. Let's set the height though to 100 view. Oh no, that's not right. Oh, paday, banner paday. So after the nav, we're going to create a banner, a division, and let's call it banner. Right, yeah, banner. No. That's not right. Okay, sige lang. And then inside the banner, we're going to create a division for our column. And for the banner, unsa lang dito nga size sa atong banner? Call 100%, diba? So that means we'll be using call. Isa nga column? Call 12. Alright. So that's it. We'll keep it that way. Alright. And then, for the meantime, para makita na to, let's add a kuha na lang. Let's call in our banner. And then let's add a background color para makita rin na to. So background color, let's give it red. Let's save that and let's try to reload. And then the height is 100 view height. Let's check. Let's reload. Let me make sure I've saved both of them. Save and then save. Banner. Tara. Okay, so that's the first part. So the next is katong ato ang first nga kani shoes for men, and then this picture right here. So the first part is we have call 2, and then we have call 5, and then call 3, and then another call 2. So first of all, let's save them on an actual division. So for the division, let's call it sa may butang na to. Let's call it men lang. Sakto ba? We'll think of the name of the class later on. For the meantime, let's add men. Para diri nga part ba? Kana nga part kani. Let's add an actual name. Let's say features. No. Products. Okay, let's say products. And for our first column, we'll have salan ganito. We have here call 2 and then call 5. I don't know. Let me see how we should add it. Okay. So let me decide first. You know what? We'll put it all the way to the right na lang yun para mas karaan mo gunin na nga design code. So instead, we'll put it all the way to the left side. We'll use the entire screen na lang yun sa na. So this is one column, and then this is another column. And that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ang pikas, and then the right side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to create two columns. The first one is call 7, and then the second one is call 5. Alright, and then let's save it right here. Let's call in call 7 let's set the background color to yellow. And height is, let's give it about 50 view height. And then that's the same thing with call 5. You know what? Hold on. Let me kanang proper nga pagkatrabaho. Alright, it's okay. Okay, alright. Have I informed you about we can create multiple class in the same property, guys? Na-inform ba tama na? So for example, we have call 7, and if we're going to add another class name, let's say for example that is men, and that is, let's say, men description, and then men, let's say, photo. So basically, we're assigning two class names for the same division. Did I naka-inform pa ko ninyo, Ana, guys? Go ahead, ako Salim. Click that. Maybe I forgot. Nalimot siguro ko. But basically, you can create multiple column names, class names rather. So that means this division right here is called call 7. At the same time, it is also called men and then desk or description. Na-inform tama na?
Maybe wala, sir.
Maybe wala. Alright, it's okay. Okay, so don't worry. It's because when it comes to assigning class names, you can add more. You can add 2. So in this case, for example, for the first division, it's called call 7, diba? Just add space, and then you can add another class name. So pwede na ko siyang tawagon dire. O men desk. Ana. So if I'm going to call men desk, this will still be applied. Do you follow? Okay, so basically you can add multiple class name. I'm sorry if I forgot to tell you about that. So in this particular division, we have 2 class names. Call 7, which is for our size, and then for custom customized na format, we can add another class name. So in this case, let's call it men desk. Background color is yellow, and then the height is 50 view height, and then for the same case with the photo, so if this is, since that is call 5, so that means it will use 5 columns, and then let's change it to, let's say, blue, and let's take a look how it looks like. Okay, let me save both of them. Save. First, start scroll down here, and then we'll just have to float left. Or, hold on, let me erase this because the proper way is to select all of this, diba? So that means we'll select all of this, and let's call class asterisk, and then saan lang ito? Class, and then asterisk, and then nalimot ko. Equals equals, and then ganyan. Call dash, and then float left. Let's save that, and then let's reload. Okay na. So this would be for our banner. This would be for the photo, for the description. This would be for the photo. And next is we'll add another division of foot. Let's call it products men, and then we'll have another division of code div. This time let's call it products women, and inside this we'll copy this one, pero ato nang balihon. So the first one is gonna be for call 5 and then call 7. So this is gonna be women photo and then women desk or description. Alright, let's save that. So let's call it in. For the women photo, that's call 5. So we're just going to copy this. But let's change the color to, let's say, green. And for woman description, that is orange. Let's take a look. Let's save both of them. Tara. Okay, so that is the next layout. Do you follow, guys? Nag-follow ba mo? Alright, so again, this is for the banner. Now, for whatever it is that is inside the banner, so if napatay time ron, then we'll discuss it. But if not, let's focus on the layout, and then maybe on our next meeting, we're going to add the contents like kani mismo. Kani ba mga contents nito? I think it will not be able to do it today because it will take a lot of time. So on our next meeting, we're going to add this contents right here. Kami shoes per men, and this. But for the meantime, we're just doing the layout. Next, we have kids. So same thing, we're just going to copy everything else. Hold on. So we'll create another division. Let's call it kids. And inside that, we will have div no. Let's just copy this because it's the same thing. Let's copy that. And then kids desk and then kids photo. And then let's call kids here. Let me just copy this. Kids photo. Tara. And then lastly, that's gonna be for kani. Next is kaning brands. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. Let me see what I can do about it. So we're going to do it this way. Let me take a screenshot. So let's buhat na sa atong imaginary lines. This is the center. This is also another center. Ano na? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So for the meantime, we'll use this as our okay. So that is blank. And then we have here, we'll use this. And then we'll use this. We'll use this. And then blank. So therefore, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And each column will have call twos, diba? 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the next part, we're going to create 6 columns, and each column will have 16.66% size. So here we're going to create another division. Let's call it brands. And then we're going to create 6 divisions. So we have div call -2 and then 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 6. So for the brands, let's call it a brands. Let's add a border para makita nato, a background color. Let's call it gray, and then let's see. All right. So we'll head for the brands. Let's take a look. Okay, saan anong wala niya? Hold on. And then height is, let's say, 50 v height. Hold on. I think loading ang cellphone. Ako ang laptop. Right, and then for us to be able to see each column individually, so let's add, let's say, brand grid. Let's add another name, a class name rather, and let's call it in. One solid, and then color is white. Brand grid. Hold on. All right. Excuse me. And then lastly, we're going to add our footer here. So that's going to be a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. Gapon. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So let me take a screenshot real quick. So if this is the footer. This is how the footer is going to look like. So let's try to create our imaginary lines na pod. One, two. Okay, so if this is the footer is going to look like. So we'll take this as the empty ones, and then for the text, kaning sa logo, yan nato ibutang, and then since we have 1, 2, 3 columns here, this is for the first column, this is for the second column, and then hold on, and this is for the third column, I guess, and then this is empty. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. This one is column. This is call 2, and 1, 2, 3. That's call 3. 1, 2. So call 2 na pod. I think this is only one. So call 1 and call 1, and another. No, call 2. Call 2, call 2, and then call 2. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, and then call 2 na pod. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, and then call 2 na lang. Call 3. Right. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nga mga call 2s gyapon. Excuse me. The same thing, we're going to create footer, and inside the footer we'll have call 2. Let's add 6 of them. And for the first one, let's call it, let's say footer logo, and then footer all, and then for the we have brands, so footer brands, and then footer social. All right, so what is this for? So for the footer logo is for this one right here, and then for the footer all is kaning sa navigations, and then footer brands is for kaning brand names, and then social is for the follow us. Do you still follow, guys? All right, last na ni siya. So first, okay, so let's call in footer logo. Okay, let's call in our footer first. Footer. Let's set the background color to, let's say, let's set it to black. And then for the footer logo, let's set the background color to balik na po ta sa red, and then let's give the height to hapit na po oras. Let's make it as fast as we could. Let's set the height to 50 view height, and then same thing for the rest. So for the footer all, let's change the color to orange and then yellow. And then let's reload. Ano wala nakita ang yellow? Background, ay wala follow. Background social rather. And then brands. And then let's copy this. And then social. The background, let's say, balik na po tayo sa green. We're not gonna do class here. But for the footer, let's set the width to 100%. Alright, so for the meantime, it looks something like this, but that's gonna be our first project, and the next project is to create the layout for our website. So in our next meeting, we're going to add contents to it, but for the meantime, for our next project is to add the layout. Okay? Now, let's try to take a look if unsay may tabo niya kung naka-mobile. So it will automatically add that by itself. All right. So do you have any questions, guys, before we end? All right. So for your next project, is you're going to add the layout for your website using CSS grid view. So since we only have a few minutes left, can you turn on your cameras now? And then if you have any further questions, just add it on. You send it through our Google Meet. Sorry, Google Classroom. Oh no, Facebook chat group. Right, dali guys, can you turn on the cameras real quick? Let's take the screenshot before we end. Okay, 7 minutes from there. All right, sige, ready? Naka-on na bang camera or basig loading na ko? Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, smile. So that's it for today. Please make sure to create the project as soon as possible. You'll be given exactly 7 days to work on it. So layout lang sa ta. Diara sa takutob, and then on our next meeting we'll add contents just like kato akong gipakita ninyo sa screen kanina.
Excuse me, sir.
Go ahead. Just like this. We're going to add this content soon in our next meeting. Go ahead. Next question.
Pwede mo screenshot sa sa style CSS.
Okay. Okay, sa unsa una ko niya makita. Although naroon ko yung screenshot sa previous, di ba? So,
Yes, sir.
kanirang bag umuya ko ang kanilang bag o asang tugikan like there, I think. Na. Okay lang inani kadag ko. Sige, screenshot ra na ako ni ako i-send ninyo later on guys narong may masya kaayo. Very good. Sige, screenshot na ako din ako i-send ninyo harong maigo tanan kay no, dili maigo.
Okay, sir.
All right. So that will be all for today. If you don't have any question or na may mga question, just send it to our Google on our Facebook Messenger. Okay? Bye-bye guys. I-upload gyapon ako ni. I-upload gyapon ako ang klase later on.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye, sir.
Good night.
So that's Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Oh, good.
Pwede po di send mo screenshot ng sa last lesson, sir. Kaya lubog mo ko dali sa kuha, sir. Di mo maklaro ang screenshot.
Sige. No problem.
Sige, sir. Thank you.
Sige, bye-bye guys. Bye-bye.